Hey, how's it going? So today I'm going to talk about an episode of Have Gun Will Travel from season 6, episode 27 from 1963. So, opinion commentary is not the end of the world. It's just a woman talking to you. And, what else do I got there? Oh, yeah, always with the spoilers, like now. Just expect it. Okay, so here we go. A little information about the show back there. And, okay, so I picked this show because even though I've been wanting to do something else, on another show, I have been also kind of gathering information to do a series on how women are portrayed in media and how it reflects the way that we are treated and perceived in life, in actual life. So, okay, now I'm distracted by my background. Let me just. There we go. Okay, so the star of the show was played by an actor named Richard Boone, and the character's name was Paladin. And Paladin was sort of a handyman with a gun, sort of a consultant, I guess you could say, for the army. Like, he had been a student at West Point, so he's well educated. He's got a quote for like every situation. He's erudite. He's worldly, and he's not just a shoot 'em up guy. He's more thoughtful than that. So what drew me to the show about the women's issue thing was this. Well, I'll tell you a little about the story. Paladin's card reads, "Have Gun Will Travel." So his card came to him in the mail, and someone wanted him to come help them locate an artist because he wanted this piece made of this special marble that's excellent for sculpting, and it's like the best thing for it that you could find in America for like someone trained in classic European sculpting, where they would use like European marble, I guess. But that was a ruse. And the gentleman that hired Paladin is another gentleman that's a German immigrant named Werner August. And Werner August is traveling with his daughter, and they've come from the East Coast, and there was a wife and mother, but she passed away. And the actual reason that Werner August wants to track down this artist is not to find this sculpture called The Savages, which is the title of the show. And boy, it barely has anything to do with the rest of the episode. But the real reason why Werner August wants to find this guy is because he doesn't believe that what his dead wife told him, which was that their daughter, Gina, is not the product of the dead wife and the artist. And Werner August don't want to believe it. And so, because he doesn't think the girl is his, he's very mean to her. He talks to her like she's an idiot, and she may be simple-minded, which I'm just using terminology from the era that the show is set in. I wouldn't use that today, but in the parlance of the time, even he would have called his own daughter simple-minded. And so he's just unduly mean to her. And it's that thing that you may have seen before on a television show in the time where like a confusion of birth situation happens and the child suffers as if the child had anything to do with it. But she's not a child, though. She is a woman in a child's body and mind. And that was a big metaphor for me, because I feel like in reality, that's how women are treated. Like, we're simple, can't think for ourselves, we need to have everything done for us, we need a man to come along and take charge of the situation because we're too feeble to do stuff for ourselves. And she, at no time does the woman in this person come out, except for she's very well behaved as a child. She just takes the bitter words of her father, just, they're just mean and nasty. And she just does what he says. Although there were a couple of times where she hesitated before answering or doing whatever it was that she was being commanded to do, and just like had a thought. And it wasn't commented on or anything in an episode, but they sure caught it on camera. And I realized it was the artist's interpretation. The actress Judy Meredith was the actress that played Gina Werner. But a couple of times the father would say something to her very snappish and kind of cruel, and she hesitated for momentarily, just a couple of seconds. And it was like she had a thought. Like, they're trying to say this girl has no brains, and she had a thought, but she didn't say it. She knew better, well behaved, well trained. And that seems to be almost like what a lot of men today would prefer to have out of their women, is just these servile, submissive, not too intelligent, or not, one to speak up. And that's fine. If you find someone like that, good for you. That's great. But like, we don't all have to be that way, do we? Because we're not. So, anyway, the way the story resolves is really interesting. The dead wife gifts the German father, mean guy, with a set of dueling pistols. And I believe it was like something, I'm not sure if it was something she left in death. Somehow she made it known to, well, she must have done it when she was alive. So she had gifted Werner August these dueling pistols, and she had marked one pistol with something that was meant for the other duelist, which was the artist, who August insists is this girl's father, but he's really not. August is the father. He just don't want to believe it. And the mother knows this and he doesn't believe her either, but hi, she was there. She knows. We know who did what, unless, we're incapacitated, and presumably she wasn't. So she marked the artist's pistol that he was intended to use with an engraving of water lilies. And they had a personal connection to them, between them. The wife, who was just a friend of this artist guy, like, they weren't doing it, okay? But they had conversation. I guess they had an emotional affair, really. But the thing with the water lilies was that the green life floats on the surface and roots down further than we realize to the floor of the pond, into the dirt. But it's the connection to life. And she gave the artist this picture because she knew he was a pacifist, and she knew that he was not going to be killing people, didn't want to be killing people. And she also knew that her husband didn't listen and didn't believe anybody and wanted to kill this guy. And so, now that you understand that, I just want to say a little something about some time spent between the point when Paladin met August Werner and they finally got to and found Elliot Spencer, the artist. In between there, when the young lady was like having maybe a thought, she spent a few minutes here and there with Paladin, and the father frowned on it. He was like fully against it. Like, I don't know if he thought Paladin was hitting on her, or if like being nice to her and treating her like a child and being nice to her was not acceptable and like no one should do it. I don't know what it was, but he would get a minute or two here and there speaking with the girl, and he got to see that on the sand of the beach where they were camped, she had sculpted a really realistic and beautiful face in the sand. And she told Paladin that she had learned how to do this when she was very young from a really nice guy. And she didn't have the words or the memory or whatever to remember that the person was this artist that her father had been seeking all this time, Elliot Spencer. So apparently, when Gina Werner was very young and the mother was still alive, there was somewhere where the mother and the artist could like spend time together as friends and talk. And he also, the little girl was there, so the artist took the time to teach the little girl a few tips on sculpting, and she had an aptitude, and that was just like kind of a beautiful little interlude in the middle of all of this arguing and misunderstanding of the story. So what ends up happening is the mother left these pistols and left a mark of water lilies and life on the pistol that she intended for the artist to use, knowing that he was a pacifist and that he wouldn't kill unless forced to, but he was going to go ahead and do it because of the honor of those days that people expected, were expected to have. So, Paladin takes control of the pistols and hands them out. And at some point, he has realized, like, he has heard this story about the water lilies, and he realizes on his own that the artist is a pacifist. And then, obviously, he knows the character of the other guy that just wants to kill, kill, kill. So, the wife, the way she tampered with the guns further was she made the water lily gun not fire, and she made the other gun not fire too, but to instead jam and explode. And Paladin tried to stop them because I think he kind of realized like what was up with the tampering. Because even Werner knew the pistols were tampered with and never like made those connections. And so when Paladin tried to tell him, "Don't fire your gun, this is going to happen, they've been tampered with," the one guy sees Werner trying to fire at him and picks up his water lily gun, and it might as well have fired a POW flag because nothing but Werner's gun. He's like, "Oh, I'm just going to kill you anyway." Like, even though you can't be honorable and like have a functioning pistol and fire back, it's just the equivalent of firing in the guy's back, basically. Picks up his gun to shoot him anyway, and the gun blows up and blows him up, so he dies. And the last thing about it was, in the end, it was like, the two men are like, whoa, like Jolene the girl, back and forth, hot potato woman, what are we going to do with her? Well, I don't know if I want her, because I got to do my life, I'm a dude, I'm over here an artist dude, and I can't do it either. So Paladin's just going to take her back to San Francisco and give her to nuns or something like that, and pay for people to care for her, which I don't know if you know anything about institutions, but it's kind of scary. It doesn't really matter how much you're paying them. There will be someone in there to find some way to do something bad to your less than capable person that you put in there. So, you know, the artist is going one way because he can't take care of her. He's got to do his artist stuff. And Paladin's like, "Fine, I'll take her and dump her on these other people." And then next thing you know, artist guy's going, "Hey, wait, I'll take her. I changed my mind. I'll take her." And it's better because he knows her, he cares about her, he actually loves her, and she has a childish mind, but she's not useless. I mean, he could have just stayed with her. So I don't know how it ends after that because they both ride off in either direction. But the point is the girl, even though they made her simple-minded, was never given an opportunity to say, think, do anything really, except for with the artist guy. And I think it was like the best determination for where I'm coming from with this for the girl, because to be loved and treated well, you know, and with dignity. So that was that. And I guess I'm done because I'm choking. And I just would like to say thank you and good night.